Welcome, Bearcat fans, to UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network. As always, I'm your host, James Ernest, along with Mark Fightmaster. Mark, what have the Bearcats been up to?
Well, really, just baseball. And they put together a few wins here and there, but really the big news has come off the field for them. What with spring football starting, and then there's some news for the AAC with Wichita State possibly joining to play basketball. So, that's good news on both fronts for them.
Yeah, that'd be huge, getting the Shockers part of the conference, so automatically your strength of schedule is going to go up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I was looking at some of those way too early preseason predictions.
Exactly.
From some of the pundits, and there was one of them who put Wichita State like at number 4 in the country. So, I think that would be sorry about that. I think that would be a good thing, if we could add them, because we have one basketball opening to make it 12. We got 12 football teams, so one of them is Navy, who doesn't play basketball. So, or at least in conference, they have basketball, but it's not in conference. So, I think that would be a huge get for the conference. I mean, automatically your strength of schedule rockets when you add Wichita State in there. And plus, some of the national credibility, let's not overlook what SMU did in the tournament did not help the conference at all. What with losing their first game as a 6 seed. So actually it may have solidified the national perception that the conference is weak. But I think adding a Wichita State to your SMU, your Houston, your UC, I think that gives them a little bit more credibility. And from what I understand, I guess they're voting on it either tomorrow or Friday. And Mick Cronin obviously jumped in and said, I think that would be huge for the conference. So, I'd like to see UC play Wichita State twice a year. That would help them immensely.
I agree with you. I mean, that automatically is one of those dates you're going to mark on the calendar. Looking forward to it, along with, of course, the UConn game, like you said, SMU, Houston, those type of things. So, yeah, I mean, anytime you can build the conference schedule, I mean, after all, Wichita State ended up going to the second round, losing to UK. So, I mean, that's not a bad spot to be at. No,
not at all. It's it'd be a good thing for them. I think it would be a real good thing for the basketball, for the conference, and it makes sense, And then when you think about it, that means the UC Wichita State game becomes one of those spotlight games, on ESPN, or the SMU Wichita State game draws more eyes to the AAC. So hope they can get it done.
Excellent. So, like you were saying before we started, there was a big thing this Saturday at Elder. Yeah. What was that about?
Coach Fickle took his boys out there to practice out to the west side at the pit. The legendary pit, as some of my elder friends would like to say. And they had one of their spring practices. It was in front of about 2,000 to 2,500 people. From what I've heard, I couldn't make it. Would have loved to have, but couldn't do it. So it was, it was good practice. He got out and was talking with the local kids, the coaches, and it was really good. And then tonight, I was talking with you beforehand at the Reds game. He was throwing out the first pitch, and the Reds game was in a delay, so they interviewed him during the rain delay, interviewed Coach Fickle. I apologize. Lost my train of thought there for a second. And he was talking about how this was done so they could get back into the local scene, So, and they didn't go and mention Tuberville, and it wasn't a thing where they were bashing Tuberville. But they were talking about how UC has lost the local kids. And I think Fickle used the term the state of Cincinnati when he was talking about, drawing, borders around Cincinnati to keep the players here. So and he did that. He did that with the practice at Elder. He's doing that with the spring game, and I think they're doing that on Friday night next week.
Yeah, that's going to be Friday the 14th. Yep.
Yeah, so he's doing the right things. He's trying to instill the pride back in the team, And Tom Brenneman, love him, hate him, whatever, he made some great points talking about how he grew up in Cincinnati. And when Cincinnati has a good college football team, there's a different feeling, in the city. And we're starting to get that with Fickle, Now let's see if they can go out and perform.
Very true. I mean, that's going to be the big thing. I mean, obviously, you get everything going in the preseason. But if that was the case, the Washington Redskins would win the Super Bowl all the time because they tend to win the preseason.
Exactly.
Yeah, they tend to win the off season. So, yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is UC's just got to perform, and they're going to get their chances as we went over in the past and we'll go over in the future, the tough schedule they got ahead of them this season. So, I mean, even if they're not gangbusters, winning every game this year, as long as they're more competitive, they're a bigger part of the conversation. It could be a nice start.
Yeah, exactly. And I've talked about this in the past, and again, like you said, we'll talk about this in the future. But it's interesting. I'm active on Twitter, and I follow Coach Fickle and I follow Coach Urban Meyer up at Ohio State, and it's interesting to see the parallels between what they're doing with their spring practices, especially. There was Ohio State does something called Winner Loser Day, where they have a lot of competitions, and you're going man on man. The team's watching the ring where you got two guys blocking each other inside a ring, and whoever gets the one guy out wins. Well, later that day, Coach Fickle put something on Twitter about Winner Loser Day down here at UC, and it was the same thing. And I think what he's doing is he's taking what worked at Ohio State and he's bringing it down here. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Another thing that happened in that interview with Tom Brenneman, Tommy asked him about his time as Ohio State's head coach right after Tressel left. And Fickle said he made some mistakes and he tried to do too much on his own and didn't delegate. And at the end of the day, he felt that he did a disservice to the 18 to 22-year-olds that were playing for him. Well, he's not going to make that mistake again. So I think what we have is a motivated coach coming from a proven program who is instilling some of the things that they used in that program down here, and I think it's going to reap some benefits. Will we see it right away? I really do hope so. Because they're right. When UC is playing football well, when they're winning, this town's a different place.
I don't know. I think you're crazy. Ohio State being a good program, shoot, they're not any good. I don't know why we'd want to copy. I was going to say, yeah, shoot. They're not in the SEC. We don't care. That's my official statement. And then, going off in a different tangent, definitely, if you missed the Elder practice, obviously this Friday the 14th, it's going to be huge. It's going to start under the lights. 7 o'clock is when it starts. Obviously, you get there before then because as early as 5:30, they're going to have a fish fry, so that sounds pretty cool.
Nice.
From 8:30, yeah. I mean, it sounds like they got a lot of cool sponsors, Nissan, Green Solution, Mr. Roof, Megabus, Amazon. I mean, it's, so they're going to have some good stuff going on there. The local bands, the Brothers Smith, so they're going to be performing, before the whole thing starts. And they're going to have some type of Pepsi sponsor thing with the Sigma Commons, whatever the heck that is. I don't know. So, so they got all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah. And for those that re-up their season tickets, they're going to be able to watch it either on the field for the students or up in the third floor for the players, or not the players, I mean the alumni. So, yeah, it's got some cool stuff.
Very cool. It's about drawing eyes, and also I think Fickle in the past has hinted that, next year they'll go to another stadium, another high school stadium, and then they're going to keep doing that. They're going to keep rotating through high school stadiums. I mean, shoot, you got enough of them, and the football in Cincinnati, high school football is some of the best, so it's about the local kids. It really is. It's about keeping those kids local. It's about drawing the border around what he calls the state of Cincinnati, and keeping the kids here and keeping that good football here. So
I'm going to go out there and wildly start some speculation. So Let's see. They already did Elder, so it's either St. Xavier or are St. Xavier the Bombers?
Yeah, St. X Bombers.
Okay, that's who I'm predicting it's going to be next year, St. X Bombers. They got their own TV contract. I was going to say they're pretty big. I mean, shoot, even when you're not trying to listen to their games on Friday nights because it's on both freaking channels, you end up listening to the games. It ain't a choice. If you're going to listen to sports talk on a Friday night, some reason why, you're listening to the Bombers. And then there was like 1 week or something they weren't in the playoffs, or they had a bye or something, so they let some other team have their time slot for like 1 week, but then it was back to the Bombers, like crazy. So.
Yeah, well, plus that's a little more northish, than it gets out of the west side a little bit. Maybe even I could see them doing something where they go west side, north side, east side, in rotation. Maybe even hit one of the Northern Kentucky. High
That's
school,
what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say. Unfortunately, Covcast isn't allowed to do the lights, so they have to do their stuff on Saturday. So maybe them, because like the practice was on Saturday, so it's a possibility. Or of course those dirty cake eaters at Highlands. Either one,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, those definitely the top two that you would think of. Maybe Ryle, maybe Boone County, but. Probably Highlands or Covcast.
Yeah, I mean, you could always throw Newcat in there if you wanted to.
You could. I was going to say them and Beechwood would be the other one that, both, the single A, double A type schools. But I'm thinking they're going to go more 5, 6A teams, that kind of thing. But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's a good idea. Actually, it would be cool is if they did one Ohio or Cincinnati team and one Kentucky team every year starting next year, because obviously they're not going to add anything else this year. But that'd be a good way to do it.
Well, he's got the blueprint for success. So now let's see if he can execute it. I think, and they asked him about, in that interview tonight, they asked him about the offense and the defense and how much of a hand he was going to have and everything. And to boil his answer down to something simple, he basically said, "I trust my coordinators."
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, which is something he didn't do when he had that little stint at Ohio State. He tried to do too much, and he learned. And you know what? That's all you can ask from that year. As an Ohio State fan, that was one of the worst years they've had in a while. So it was good that he learned from it and that he's able to take something to the new place where he's coaching. And so like I said, he's got the blueprint. Let's see if he executes it.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is just how well it does on the field. So, sounds like there's a lot of good stuff going on with UC, like you said. Most of it's off the field, but, there's some, like you said, some of the baseball is going on. So fans, if they get a chance, because the baseball prices are very reasonable. Tickets start at like $5. Same with, heck, even the football. I got the email, and they figured out the numbers, and it's less than $20 a game to have season tickets.
That's nice. Yeah, and I know, what is it, Tuesday the 18th, so 2 weeks from yesterday, they're having the showcase down at Marge Schott Stadium where you got UC, Xavier, Wright State, and maybe NKU.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, in double headers.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, where they actually have done a little deal with youth baseball teams. And so my son's baseball team is one of the ones participating, so we're going to be able to go down there for the late game on Tuesday. I think the 5:30 start or the 6 o'clock start. And I think it's Xavier UC. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to get to go down, and I think they actually might even let the kids on the field to see the field.
That'd be cool.
So,
yeah, they're going to love that.
Yeah, get an idea what it's like, and there's, possibly even like maybe a clubhouse tour or something, So,
yeah.
But yeah, they're really doing a good job of keeping the prices down, and getting good teams into play and making it interesting down there. So hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be able to give you a good report on what it was like down there. So
definitely. Same thing if you get a chance to go to that on the 14th. I mean, shoot, I look forward to covering it. Probably,
yeah,
I was going to say, we probably won't do the show next week, but obviously the following week after the big event, we're going to definitely have a good report. Hopefully get some audio from that. Maybe we'll be able to interview Luke for the show. If not, I'm sure we'll be able to get at least a coordinator or two on or a position coach. So, folks, definitely stay tuned to UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network. Any final thoughts, Mark?
No, just keep listening for the Bearcats news. I know seasons are over and stuff, but there's a lot happening. We got a lot to look forward to.
Sounds great. So for Mark Fightmaster and James Ernest,